thanks for watching. Now, this video is in response to a video a guy named Alt Johnson did, basically trying to refute my video on what the creators of the Bible stole from ancient Kemet. Now, this is something that we could have talked about in the comment section, but this guy chose to do multiple videos trying to refute my video, and he did a horrible job, which I will show in this video. Now, I gave this man a chance to basically take the video down because he makes himself look stupid. He contradicts himself a lot, and there's a lot of things that he assumed. Now, anybody who watches my videos understands the narrative, what I basically speak to. And as I always say, my videos are basically for people who are looking for information. I get a lot of people who come to my channel who are deeply religious, and they basically there looking for validation. They're not there to basically spread the word as they claim and this and that. They're looking for validation. Anybody who truly follows their Bible would not even be on YouTube in the first place. They would be out there doing exactly, living exactly by what the Bible tells them, instead of coming to YouTube and basically jumping in and out of comment sections, disagreeing with everybody who disagrees with their doctrine. And this is something that we see a lot. And I'm not going to so much beat around the bush on this. I'm going to get right into what this guy is talking about. As I said, we could have talked about it in the comment section. I gave him a chance to take down the video. He instead quoted me a Bible verse. And he basically said that he's not doing this for likes or comments, anything like that, or subscribers. He's doing it to walk in the light of the Lord and all this and that. And you would think that God would have helped him make a better response video because this one was horrible. So, take a look.
I'm doing this video by special request. I've had quite a few people ask me to do some response videos to some of the content that he's put out. Now, I just want to let you guys know I have been aware of this guy probably for about a good 2 years now, but I haven't been really following his channel on a consistent basis. And I haven't really made any response videos except for now, because to be honest, his videos are like an hour and 30, an hour and 40, sometimes 2 hours long. So for me to try to make a response video and do like a breakdown, point by point breakdown by videos that long, I mean, it'll take me about a month to do it. But anyway, I ran across this page. Somebody asked me to check his stuff out, and it kind of reminded me to go back and see if he's uploaded any content. Now, first of all, I want to say that when it comes to these guys preaching blackness and all of that stuff, I'm not refuting those things. And I'm not trying to make response videos to that, because there is a lot of negative history, okay, that we can pull up, that people have been pretty, well, let's just address the big elephant in the room. During the European slave trade and, the Romans and people going into Africa and pillaging and all of that stuff has happened. Okay, so there is a really dark, grim history behind that. Now, I'm not saying that those things did not happen. We can look it up in history. We have all types of information that's concerning that. My point is not to refute, to say that that stuff has not happened, okay? My thing is to say that these things have happened as a result of sin in the world. This is the reason why we have these problems. It's because sin is present in the world, and men's heart are by nature corrupt. So you're going to have a lot of these things that are going to happen in the world, and it's not just Europeans against blacks or Europeans against everyone else. You've had people who are African who've done things to other Africans, and people from the Middle East doing things to other people, from the Middle East, or people in Africa, or people in Europe. Whatever the case is, and you still got a lot of these problems that go on today. So I'm not trying to refute any of that stuff. However, when guys like this say that it is because of the Bible that these things have happened, then those are the things that I'm going to refute. Okay? Because what I want people to understand is that when you make a bold claim, such as it is because of the Bible, or it is because people have taken the Bible and perverted scripture to carry out evil, sinister deeds, that the Bible is now evil, those are the things that I refute, because the Bible teaches the direct opposite. So in this video, we're going to talk about this guy making a claim that the Bible has been copied and plagiarized from ancient Kemet.
Now, the guy says that my videos are too long. And again, as I said before, if you can't sit through a video, then I know you are not reading your Bible, you are not reading no books or doing any research if you can't sit through a video. As I said before, my videos are for people who are looking for research, who are trying to put together the pieces. And people who are truly trying to do that will sit through a video no matter how long it is. They will read multiple books, and books take days, sometimes a month to read. I know, I actually read books. So if you can't sit through an actual video, that tells me you're not here to get the actual information from the video. It's not Burger King. You can't have it your way right away. The video is not going to be catered to how you think a video should be. It's not going to be as long as you want it to be. A video is going to be how the creator makes it. It's just how it is. Just because you want something longer, you can't always get your wish. But for people who are actually trying to get information and understand, what's going on, they don't mind the long videos. And I always get a lot of people who ask for the videos to be longer. Now, what I do is I usually break down my long videos in multiple parts, and you guys have seen it. This is why I do that for people who can't sit through the long multi-hour video. I even do it for videos that's a half an hour, because I understand people don't have the time to sit and watch a video. Now, this guy also acknowledges that, the Europeans have pillaged, that they have basically enslaved Africans, that they went in there and basically enslaved us. He also says that it's not because of the Bible, it's because of sin. Sin came into the world or what have you, and men are capable of sin. He also says that the Bible is not an evil, sinister book or what have you, that it's basically sin, that is the problem. And basically that he's going to refute me saying that it is the Bible that is causing this stuff and not sin. Now, this is the thing. Now, one, we could just go straight to the Bible. Let's look at Deuteronomy 20:15-17. It says, "Thus shalt thou do unto all the cities which are very far off from thee, which are not of the cities of these nations, but of the cities of these people, which the Lord thy God doth give thee an inheritance, thou shalt save nothing alive that breatheth. But thou shalt utterly destroy them, namely, the Hittites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee." And also they would later destroy the Girgashites, as I talked about this in a previous video. Now, this dude says that it's not because of the Bible, but because of sin. Here you have in the Bible, God telling men to go basically wipe out a bunch of people. We're going to go to another Bible verse. Let's go to Deuteronomy 7. It says, "When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them." So, again, he says that it's not the Bible. It's sin in men. The Bible does not, preach about evil and stuff like that. But here you have God in the Bible telling men to go utterly destroy his own people that he created. Now, one, he talks against my common sense in this video. If you watch his whole video, you will see he talks about that. Now, again, common sense. Kill everything that basically breathes is what it says in the book. So that means children as well. So if God created all of us, which I'm pretty sure he believes that, if God created all living beings, why would God create a baby, a child, just to have these people go and wipe them out? What if it's a 2-day-old baby? Didn't God just create that baby? Didn't God just put that baby on earth? Why would he allow this baby to be born and survive 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week just to have it wiped out by these people? So now he claims about, he's not going to refute black history and all this stuff like that. He's not trying to talk against that. And there's proof and all this and that. Well, he doesn't understand that the Bible is acknowledging exactly what happened. We cannot prove there wasn't any Amorites or Prairiezites or Girgashites or what have you, as I've talked about before. But we can't prove, first of all, one, that these other nations existed. We can't prove that this war between them and the Israelites actually happened. There's absolutely no proof of that. But we can prove that Europeans did destroy cities of African people. As I talked about this before, we can prove that. So when I'm talking about the Bible being the cause, not just the Bible, because if you pay attention to what I said, I was talking about religion. When you pay attention to what the Bible was saying, the Bible is basically condoning the genocide of African people. Because when you pay attention to these nations, these cities, they are supposed to be of the line of Ham, which are African nations or African civilizations. And we can prove in actual real history that these African civilizations was destroyed by Europeans. So all you have in the Old Testament, in the Bible, is them trying to justify the genocide of African people that he claims he's not trying to talk against. He's not trying to refute that. And you believing in this Bible, he doesn't understand, one, that you are condoning slavery. By you believing in the book, you are saying that you agree with God's enslavement of African people. Now, first of all, one, if you want to go into Luke and look at what Jesus said about slavery. Now, before I go to what Jesus said, let me go to Ephesians 6:5. It says, servants, be obedient to them that are your masters according to the flesh, with fear and trembling, in singleness of your heart, as unto Christ. So how they putting the slave master on the same par as Christ? So this again is showing you how much the book is condoning slavery. Doesn't condemn slavery, it's condoning slavery. And this is what Jesus says. And it says in Luke 12:47, it says, and that slave who knew his master's will and did not get ready or act in accord with his will receive many lashes. Now this is Jesus talking. And here you have, Jesus has a chance to basically condemn slavery in the Bible, to condemn it. Instead, he does not condemn it. He condones it by saying, if you don't do your master's will, you're going to get whipped. You're going to get lashes. Now, religious people like this guy and others will just make it as if, oh, well, this is how it was back then and everybody was enslaved, as if this is supposed to be something that we are supposed to just accept as being normal. That's just happening everywhere. And we're supposed to just accept it as black people. The Bible condones slavery. It doesn't condemn it. It's justifying the genocide of African people. And this is what these people want us to follow. I mean, even when you go to Moses, when you go to Numbers 31:17-18, it says, now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that have known a man by laying with him. But all the women children that have not known a man by laying with him, keep alive for yourselves. But the Bible only talks about good. It has no evil. Moses, the man who's supposed to give us the law of God. This is what we're supposed to follow. Now you can say, well, God punished them and all this and that or what have you. Bullshit. When you go back and look at war, when you go look at the Crusades, it's because of the Bible. When you go out and look at the reason why Rome, why England and other countries was going out and basically pillaging, as he said, it's because of the Bible. It's because King James and others like Louis XIV believed in divine right theology. As you look at Romans 13:1, when it's talking about God ordaining men to basically be the authority on earth, this is what they believed and this is what they talked about because of the Bible. They believed that they was ordained by God to be kings and to basically go out and conquer, and this is what they did. It basically later changes over into manifest destiny, what we have in America, with the Americans saying that they have the right to basically go out and manifest their destiny to go and conquer into lands, past the territories they already conquered. This is stuff that we've seen a lot. I talked about this in a previous video. So you have a history of people believing that they have a divine right to rule, and they go out and kill and commit genocide in the name of a God. And this dude doesn't realize, one, we got the Bible in slavery. This is where we got our Bible, how we got our Bible. In slavery, we got the King James Version from a man who basically believed in divine right theology, as I talked about. And this dude believes he has the divine right to rule. So to say that you're not going to go against, the black stuff or go against, not going to try to refute what I'm talking about as far as the history that the Europeans have against black people. Well, it's in your Bible. You believe in these Girgashites and Perizzites and stuff like that. There's absolutely no proof of these people. The Bible is trying to justify what the Europeans did and give them power over us. So again, this is something that I have proven time and time again in my videos, but this guy hasn't, as he claimed, watched my videos. So he doesn't really understand what I'm speaking to. So it's definitely, I can't put it all into one video. So this is definitely going to be part one. And we're going to get into probably 2 parts, 3 parts of a lot of the really important things that they stole from Kemet that's really easy to trace back to Kemet that we know for sure was there long before we get our Bible. So we're going to get into this information, and hopefully it can kind of get people who are trying to really understand what we are talking about and the things that we point to understand, you know, that this is where the stuff comes from. This is what it's really talking about. It's all allegorical. The stuff is not backed up by proven history, the Bible. And this is why the Bible requires faith.
All right, stop right there for a minute. Okay, he touched on a couple of quick points. And did you catch the part where he said that these things happened before the Bible? Now, one thing that you have to understand with these black nationalists, they believe that the Bible was written just out of thin air 2,000 years ago during the 1st century. That can't be further from the truth because, number one, we got writings such as the Dead Sea Scrolls that date back to almost 150 years before the birth of Christ. So, number one, that's already a refutation right there. But anyway, when you're talking to these guys, you have to understand that they believe that the Bible was written 2,000 years ago, right at that point. But the Bible was actually written over a span of 1,500 years, over 3 continents, and 3 different languages, by 40 different authors, okay? It contains 66 individual books. So you have to understand, this is 66 individual books written over a span of 1,500 years, not just 2,000 years ago. Now, the Bible was compiled 2,000 years ago, and it was completed. So that means that they took all 66 books of the Bible and put it into one book. Because before that, all of these books were separate. All right? That's why, you know, you have the Jewish Torah, which is the Old Testament. It's the compilation of the books of the Old Testament. And then you got the New Testament writings, which contains letters from Paul, Peter, the 4 Gospels, John, etc. And what they did was that they put both of these books together just to show you how the Bible comes together and how we're all talking about the same God.
Now, this guy calls me a black nationalist, and I don't know if he understands what that means. A black nationalist is a person who is like really pro-black and basically about separation and black people doing things on their own and separating from, you know, other races and everything like that. They're really pro-black, which of course I'm pro-black, but I'm also about unity. Anybody who watches my videos understands this, that I teach unity between the races, between us all. Yes, I believe that black people need to get we need to get our stuff together. Plain and simple, we need to do that on our own first before we can have unity. That's something we need to do, and we need to understand our history, understand what's going on and what's been taken away from us, and that will basically help us unite. So a black nationalist, I'm definitely not, and I don't have no label. I don't ascribe myself to be anybody but a person who's putting out the truth. Now, that's one thing. Second, this dude says, one, that we basically believe that the Bible is only 2,000 years old, only goes back 2,000 years into the 1st century or what have you. When did I ever say that? Point it out. What video did I say that the Bible is only 2,000 years old, that it only goes back to the 1st century? See, this is what people like him do. They put words in your mouth and they make up stuff that you never said and then give you basically a rebuttal on it, and you never even posed the question. But they do that to make themselves look good. Never once have I ever said the Bible goes back to just the 1st century. If you want to take it back, we can go all the way back to Ptolemy II Philadelphus, which I constantly talk about. You don't watch my videos, so you don't know that. Ptolemy II Philadelphus we can go back to the 4th century or the 3rd century BCE and go to Ptolemy II Philadelphus, who gave us the Septuagint Greek. You don't have any biblical book that predates the Septuagint Greek, period. Now, we also clearly have the pyramid text. I shouldn't even be addressing this guy, but you got to learn. You have the pyramid text that goes back to 2,500, at least 2,500 BCE. And you're talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls. Nothing you have biblically, no biblical writings anywhere, predates the pyramid text. Now, this guy's going to talk about Moses. He's going to go back and say, well, Moses wrote the Bible, wrote the Old Testament, the 5 books, such and such, how many years ago? There's absolutely no proof of that. What proof that you have of Moses' existence? You have zero. You have no proof at all that Moses existed or wrote anything. We still have the pyramid text that has been dated by scientists all over the world. It's a proven fact. You don't have the original Torah. It don't exist. So what are you talking about? There's absolutely zero proof that Moses existed or did anything. And it's funny how when you actually go and research when the Jews were supposed to be in captivity in Egypt, it doesn't even line up with the time of Ramses. It lines up with the time of Thutmose III. And I talked about this before. You have Thutmose and you have Moses. So we can clearly see where they stole the name Moses. It just so happened that the timeline that they give us for the Jews being in captivity will have been under the reign of a person named Thutmose, and the Jews was freed by a man named Moses. So again, this is stuff you got to look at. When I'm speaking about the Bible stealing from Kemet, we can clearly see what's going on. This dude has absolutely no clue what he's talking about. There's absolutely nothing that you can pull up that predates the pyramid text. Then, not to mention, we have the Hanrak Ampelus slate, or the Norma palette, which is one of the oldest artifacts ever found. So we're talking about an artifact, an Egyptian artifact that goes all the way back to the 31st century BCE. It goes back further than 3000 BCE. So, dude, you're talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls. And then this dude going to try to attack carbon-14 dating later on. So the same carbon-14 dating that was done to give you your age, the Dead Sea Scrolls that you want to bring up as being over 150 years, before the birth of Christ. It's the same thing that was used to date these Egyptian artifacts that we actually have. We have nothing from Moses, nothing from Jesus, nothing from Noah. We don't have these artifacts. The Egyptian artifacts are still there. They still exist. So all the stuff he's going to get into later has already been refuted. This dude sitting here talking about something, well, that's been refuted. We have the Dead Sea Scrolls, so that's refutation right there. Dude, the Dead Sea Scrolls is not older than the pyramid text. The Dead Sea Scrolls is not older than the Septuagint. You ain't even mentioned the Septuagint. You should have at least mentioned that, which is older than the Dead Sea Scrolls, which again proves you don't know what you're talking about.
All right, so he also talks about this is why the Bible requires faith. Now, first of all, faith has nothing to do with someone just reading something and wanting to believe in it so bad that they just, no matter what the evidence says that comes against it, they just want to believe in it. No, that's not why we believe the Bible. The reason why we believe the Bible and not into ancient Kemet and not into Ra and all these other mythological creatures is because we have sufficient evidence of the Bible. Okay, we got artifacts. We got the New Testament writings, which are the people who are actually there. We got secular writings of the people who lived around the time of Christ, who basically their testimonies aligned with what was happening in the Bible, just like the Bible said it was happening. So it's not just some blind faith. But let's just go ahead. Let's continue to listen to what this guy has to say.
Again, this dude just making up stuff out of thin air that I supposedly said. I never said that people have faith in the Bible because they just have this blind faith. I said that the Bible is not backed up by proven history. It's not proven, which is why it requires faith. Meaning it requires faith because there's no proof to back it up. So how can anybody come and try to debate the Bible or refute anybody with proof and facts against the Bible when the Bible itself has no proof? There are no primary sources to back up the Bible. Now, notice this guy goes on and on talking about we have eyewitness testimony from people who was there. You can't even prove that these people exist. There's no proof of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. There's no proof that these people ever existed, period. So what proof do you have? There's no proof to back up the Bible. Also, Ra is not a mythological creature or character. Ra is the sun that actually exists. Your Jesus is not proven to exist. Your biblical characters are not proven to exist. They are based on a book that requires faith. Why you have faith, that's your prerogative and everybody else's prerogative. Whatever you believe, that's what you believe. But when it comes down to facts, which is what I discuss, there are no facts to support the Bible. There are no proof. What artifacts? You keep talking about artifacts and proof and this and that. Yet in your video, you haven't put up one video. You ain't put up one picture that provides proof to support your claims that, yeah, we have artifacts and this and that. When you go and look at any artifact that they claim to deal with the Bible, it always says it is believed that this deals with Christ. I've been to Jerusalem. I've been to Israel. And they even tell you there, it's believed this is where Christ walked. It is believed that this is where he was crucified. So it's based on belief, not truth, not facts. If there was actual facts and proof and truth, I would be a fucking Christian. I would be a Bible believer. So there are no proof. There is no facts. What are you talking about? So again, people do this a lot and they try to pose questions that you never said and then answer those questions to try to make you look stupid or try to make themselves look good when I never said anything about your faith. I said the Bible requires faith, which it does, and it speaks about having faith. And that's basically all I was saying. So let's keep it moving. So we're going to get into this. We're going to take a look at a couple of things, and it's going to take up a lot of time to really get my point across on this, which is why I got to break it down into multiple videos, because it's a lot to explain. Can't really just point to Kemet and say they took it from here. It's it's a lot that it involves, and anybody who has dealt with this subject and has studied this stuff understands what I'm talking about. So we're going to get into it, and we're going to start with Genesis, the first chapter. I mean, as soon as you get into Genesis, we can see, what's going on. Now, when you get into the first chapter of Genesis chapter 1, it's obviously some flaws there. A lot of times when people read the Bible and they see stuff that goes against common sense and logic, they will, dismiss it as, it's God. God is all powerful. It must make sense in some kind of way that I don't understand because it's in the Bible. So a lot of things that is common sense to most people, a lot of religious people will look at it and just, say, oh, well, and keep on going, not understanding that it's a major flaw in the book.
All right, so let me go ahead and address that topic real quick. He basically says that us as Christians, that we believe the Bible because it goes against, or something to the effect that, why do we still believe in the Bible when it goes against common sense, rationality, and logic? First of all, I want to ask a question. Where does common sense, logic, and rationality comes from if it doesn't come from God? Who sets that standard of rationality and logic? Because it's not people. I'm no different than you. So my rationality and my logic may not be what's rational and what's logic to you. Okay? Because we're both finite creatures.
Dude, we live in a society. We in a society do, yes we do, address what is rational. You ever hear something called a mental institution? Why do you send a person into a mental home or into the hospital? You send a person into a mental institution and you call them crazy because they are doing something that goes against what's normal, that goes against what's rational. If a person walks up to you and keeps saying that he can fly and he can walk on water and he can lift up a car, anybody with any common sense is going to say, well, something is wrong with this guy's mental state. So when I'm talking about rational and rationality, you can't sit there and tell me that a 500-year-old man spent 100 years building an ark and put 2 of every animal on it. 2 of every animal. Now, if a person came to you today and said the same thing, you would think he's crazy. Anybody, the majority of people, and this is what I'm speaking to, would say something's wrong with this man. Something is wrong with a person who believes that a grown man can survive 3 days in a big fish. So when I'm speaking about common sense and rationality, I'm speaking to these things that goes against the norm, things that go against what's possible. You can't sit there and tell me that you can walk on water, that you can fly, that you can, rip a lion in half. These are things that goes against common sense and logic. And these are things that are replete throughout the Bible that doesn't make sense. Now, if you want to believe in fairy tales, because this is where we see things like this in fairy tales and in the movies, then that's on you. But for the majority of people who use logic, which is something that we use in this society, in this world, logic and common sense, we can't sit there and just take it on face value that this dude built this ark and put 2 of every animal on it. There's absolutely no proof. And this is something that this guy continues to talk about and contradict himself in this video about proof and evidence and facts when he provides none. Show me any proof that basically backs up any of these outrageous claims of the Bible that most people, many people, including yourself, would consider to be outrageous, considered to be crazy. It doesn't fit with common sense. So it's funny how religious people come here and call us crazy and call us, weirdos or what have you, when they are the ones who believe such crazy, outrageous things like a man walking on water and a man surviving in the fish and Noah building an ark and putting 2 of every animal on it, when that just doesn't make sense logically. It doesn't even fit mathematically. If you look at the scale of what Noah's ark was supposed to be, it's not even bigger than the Titanic. So common sense would tell you that it's not possible. It defies logic.